Alright folks, this is Sean. I got Mr. Steve behind the camera and another wonderful volunteer, Mr. Don, also behind the camera. We were working the stone earlier. We wanted to do a follow-up video here in section 2 of Oakland Cemetery. Basically the stones that you see in front of me. So on to the right you have Charles and Miss Mary over here. And on to your left we have another Miss Mary Johnson over here. And then the Van Dusen stone, which is over here, which as you can see we still have our PVC pipes attached to it, protecting the metal pins. These stones, when we showed up to the cemetery, were probably in a dilapidated state, or they were sunk in the ground at least a foot, just like Mr. Charles Smith's stone. This whole section below was below the ground. Miss Mary's stone over here, the stone was actually cracked, and we did our best to epoxy it. It may appear that this is the second time that an attempted repair was done. So what we did, we basically epoxied the stone, set it in place, and at the end of the last video, that's where we had the clamps in place just to allow the epoxy to dry. Some of these stones, they'll call it almost like they'll start to like sugar cookie, or have a sugar cookie like texture, and that's where you just have to be careful whether you decide to drill a hole, repin the stone, or you just have to work with glue or the epoxy so that way the top half or the broken part of the stone will be set in place. The stone that's right here, Miss Mary Johnson, this is the oldest stone that we have in this particular section. This stone was broken, and you could almost see the dynamic color change from the top half of the stone to the bottom half, which was under the ground. This stone's been here. The individual had passed away well over 150 years ago. I believe it was 156 years ago. And then Miss Van Dusen's stone is the one that we still have, or we're still in the process of making a determination of what we need to do. What happens over time, it's a very flat area that we have here. The stones can effectively act like a sail. So when you have the wind pushing against it, the slow rocking motion can cause the base to kind of break. Not only did we see that on the Van Dusen stone, the stone that's right behind it, there's a large chunk on the bottom right of the base that's actually cracked off. So just by, you don't even have to touch these stones. It doesn't have to be by the lawn equipment or the landscaping equipment. Just the pure nature of the stone can just get deteriorated over time just by nature in itself. But we're going to do our best. We have all the volunteers here trying to help maintain these stones over time. Like I said, this is probably the first time in at least 20 years that all these stones have been upright in some form or fashion. The Van Dusen stone was obviously buried about 1.5 feet down. And then we'll have to get back to you in a future cut as to when we make a final determination after we re-examine what we need to do with her stone. But other than that, we'll do our best to keep the cemetery stones reset and restored as well as we can. And if you like the video, please give us a like and subscribe, and we appreciate your support.